Welcome back. If you've been following my channel recently, you saw that I've been getting into Bionicle. After rediscovering my $5 Bionicle bin, I built the Tarakava, which was a viewer recommendation, and I was missing some pieces, so I thought it'd be fun today to do a follow-up video on that where I build out and do some mods on the Teal Tarakava that I started, and then also build up the blue one that accompanies it. So let's get into it. The first major thing that I was missing was the teal nose piece on the Teal Tarakava. I found this black one that I thought worked out well. Here's a little demo for you. Next thing was this shoulder piece that I had on one side but not the other. This is a look at the instructions that kind of shows what piece I'm looking for. So I did a little bit of searching and I ended up finding this black one, which attached on pretty easily. But then the problem is that I was missing the connector for this hose piece. And I searched all over the pile for the socket that this hose goes into and ended up having to compromise by finding a pin that I slid through, and I just ended up adding a couple of these extra little pieces on the side to hold it in place, and it surprisingly worked out really well. In fact, I was really happy with the symmetry of the shoulders considering I didn't have the proper pieces for the one. So that ended up being a pretty easy fix on the Teal Tarakava. The blue one, a little bit of a different story, as you can see here, laying on the floor in pieces. The good news is two of the major pieces were intact. This is the top half of the Tarakava, and it was actually not too bad. The bottom piece, treads intact, everything's there, but I did have a lot of extra pieces. I decided to go down through the instructions just to kind of see if there was anything visually that I could find that I was missing, and there were a couple things here that I had to work on. Obviously, the most important thing to start out with was getting the top and bottom half of the Tarakava put together. I ended up finding the proper pin for that from looking at the directions, and I just slid that pin in, and with that I had a fully completed standing upright Tarakava, which I was really satisfied with how far along I was. However, I quickly realized that I did not have a fully complete Tarakava here. In fact, this is the bottom part. I did have one of these hoses, but being that I built the teal one first, I didn't have any pieces left for this one, so I was kind of left to scramble a little bit, and I looked all over, didn't find it, so I ended up just putting the one on that I did have. On the other side, I added this piece on, which isn't anything like a hose, but I thought it would work out well enough to give it the shape that I was looking for to make it somewhat symmetrical, and it's kind of hit or miss. Next, we move up a little bit on the Tarakava. Right now you're looking at the shoulder assembly, and of course I'm missing another shoulder piece. Seems to be a theme of this build. Ended up finding one on the floor, and I looked around for the other ones that I thought maybe I had. Looked all through my pile, frantically searching to find the other one so it's complete, but couldn't find it. So I decided to install the one that I had, which went on to the left shoulder of the blue Tarakava. For the other side, since I was shoulderless, I had to do a little bit of customization. This is my first attempt. You're actually going to see a couple attempts here at making a decent shoulder. This one I thought was okay, and in fact this one probably would have turned out alright. So I installed this, and you can see if you look down, the arms moving, everything kind of looks alright, but I wasn't 100% satisfied with it, so I found this other piece in here, and I was like, well, let's try this out. Let me take that shoulder piece back off, and we're going to try this other one out. This one had a little bit of assembly required to make it work, so I put one of those ball joints in there, which I found out during this build that those things are very hard to take out, and I lined it up on the shoulder, had to take a couple more pieces off to make it work. So you can see how kind of in-depth this is getting. I probably should have just left that first one on there, like I said, because when I put this on here, I very quickly realized that it wasn't going to work. It was just way too far out, and it also moved back and forth, which I didn't want. So I took that off, and then I found another piece that I thought looked very much like the black shoulder piece that I put onto the Teal Tarakava, but this one had a little bit of assembly required as well. So I put a pin through this, and that was used just to kind of attach it over to the shoulder. And here we are up at the shoulder. Slid that through, and I was like, you know what, I think this is gonna work. So I put another piece on there to kind of hold it, and then I put another piece on there to hold it, and I realized there was still some movement in there, so I put another piece on there to eliminate that movement. And after all these extra additions, I think I came up with something that kind of worked out okay. Moving up a little bit, we move on to the eyes, which we were seriously missing some pieces here. We're supposed to have red eyes like the other Tarakava, but in this case I found some blue and yellow pieces that I thought turned out really well and really gives it some personality. Here's the first one finished, and then there's the second one. Tell me that doesn't give it a little bit of personality, especially when you flip that mouth up. I really like it. This next spot is a little fix I had to do. I realized I was having some arm problems every time I was punching that right arm on it, and it was on the wrong side. So that was an easy fix, just popped it off, popped it on the other side. That alleviated that problem. Next thing is I put the rubber bands on each side to give it a little bit of force when you're punching those arms. And you don't necessarily need those, but I think it's good to have them. And here's a little punch action. And that was my final mod because we are now done, and here's the 2 Tarakava. I give you a quick little run through of all the mods that I did just as a recap. You can see the face and also the shoulder on that one. This one a little more detailed with the eyes, the arm fix, the shoulder, and then also the bottom piece, which again, I'm not 100% thrilled with that. And here's a little bit of a fight for you to finish the series out. This is a lot of fun. These things are a great build. I'm so happy someone recommended these, and here is the final kill. Both died at the same time. Hope you enjoyed this little Tarakava series. I'll be building more Bionicles soon, among other things. I thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.